I do. Dane Gumas writes, so I'm a fat wealthy man and I can more or less afford anything in the world. I'm sick of property development and investment banking. My financial advisor is overpaid and can't say no. So in theory, and bearing in mind that I can literally afford anything, could I walk up to Joss Whedon and beat him with my checkbook until he hands over the rights to Avengers? My question is, could an ordinary person buy the rights to a blockbuster movie?
It's a really fascinating question that when, like we were just talking about that question around the table here, it's like, well, that's kind of a silly question, but then we realized, well, it's only silly if you kind of live in the entertainment universe, because there's a very common misconception here about movie rights and who owns them and how do you get them and all this kind of stuff. So let's clear a couple things up. First of all, Joss Whedon does not in any way, shape, or form own anything when it comes to the Avengers. But wait, a lot of people say, didn't he create it? Right? No, Joss Whedon did not create the Avengers. Did he write it? Sure, but he wrote it as a hired servant to write it, as a paid creative worker to write it. All of it still is owned by Disney, you know, and Kevin Feige is above Joss Whedon. Kevin Feige has 1,000 people above him. So when you hear that so-and-so directed this movie or so-and-so starred in this movie, never think for a second that they own any part of it. Dennis, you were pointing out, too, that like Whedon doesn't even own Buffy.
Yeah, he created Buffy and Angel and Dollhouse and all that stuff. I think the only thing he owns is Dr. Horrible, because he did that
as a web series, too, without a studio.
Exactly. So he doesn't even own the most popular things that he's created.
Yeah. He's too busy making all this money on stuff he doesn't own to make a sequel to Dr. Horrible, the thing that he does own. Yeah. So that should tell you something.
I think as soon as he's done, though, I think as soon as his contract is done with Marvel, which is, isn't it after Avengers 2? His contract is done?
I think he's all part. I
can't remember how many. I think it might have been a 3-year deal. But at any rate, whenever he's done, I'm almost willing to bet anything. The very first thing he's going to do is do another Dr. Horrible. I think he's been wanting to do that for a long time. Yeah. So, but to answer the other part of your question, yeah. I mean, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. Where's Virgil? Anybody. If you've got, look, Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney for $3 billion. Might have been 4, but I think it was 3. Let's say 4 then. For $4 billion. Now, I'm sure it wasn't just $4 billion. I'm sure that Lucas also probably has a little thing in there. It's like, I get 3% of every dollar future Star Wars films make. It's going to end up being like a really, really big deal. But if you got a checkbook and you've got $4 or $5 billion in it, and you wanted to walk up to Mr. George Lucas, and I'm sure he would take your visit if you told his butler, I'm looking to dump $4 or $5 billion. I'm sure Lucas will sit down with you, and you want to write him a check. Guess what? You would be the new owner of Star Wars. So yeah, anybody can buy anything if the price is right. Schnepp, have you ever tried to acquire or like an intellectual property, or had people try to acquire stuff from you?
The only thing I've ever tried to buy is the moon. And I talked to the people who own the moon, and I was like, look, I will give you $10 trillion for the moon. And they punted me back to Earth. That's
I guess it's not as easy as the movie business.
And don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news, and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.